welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're talking about The Last of Us. The whole show, not just one episode where I sound crazy while I complain about it. But first, Dan, did you like anything this week?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about everything because it's been a while since we actually have recorded a normal or an episode where we're talking about something like this. So I'm just going to talk about a few things. I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I don't know what the consensus is out there. I enjoyed it. I liked a lot of the craziness. There was some bad editing, even to me, bad editing, and I'm not a film editor. But I don't know. Yeah, I liked it. Villain was good. Kang, of course, from Loki as well. So I liked his performance. And yeah, I liked a lot about it. There was, a few things about how it's just like rule of cool. But overall, I thought it was a fine entry into the Marvel movies.
Nice.
Yeah. I finished Legend of Korra finally. I watched season 4 of that. So that's all finished up. Finally. Took like a decade or whatever, but I got there. And yeah, it was good. I actually really enjoyed season 4 as well. Like the quote unquote villain is not like, it's kind of like they're trying to set up like the villain was charged during like a troubled time to like bring peace to the Earth Kingdom. And so she does in the, under the understanding that eventually there'll be a king to take over. But then she's like, the king sucks. I'm going to be the ruler, right? And everyone's like, yeah, you rule, you brought peace, right? So, but then, people who are like, well, no, we're supposed to go with the king. They kind of like subjugate and, intimidate and stuff like that. So they fight against that. It's a cool plot for a quote unquote children/teenage show, I guess. But great animation, a lot of cool stuff going on there. And then her adventures, Korra's that is, do continue in some comics. But yeah, that's the end until the next Netflix Avatar thing, which they're working on. I don't know.
Oh, I got rid of Netflix, so I don't know what they're doing anymore.
Well, you can still see on the internet what they're doing.
Nope, I don't care.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I caught up because I knew it was going to be. Something I was looking forward to was What We Do in the Shadows season 4.
Nice. Good.
So good. So much fun. Lots of great stuff in there. The only thing I was sort of didn't think they were going to do, because at the end of season 3, spoilers, Nadia gets sent to England along with, oh my gosh, Guillermo. Yeah, I was going to say Gizmo. I was like, that's not his name. Yeah, but then I thought that was going to like continue in the show, but they just come back at the beginning of the show and then they're back in Staten Island. But yeah, still really enjoyed it. Lots of fun.
Yeah, I really liked the vampire nightclub storyline.
Yeah.
And when they go to the night market was a really good episode too.
Yes, that was a really good episode.
Yeah.
I'll talk about 2 things I read. One of them was Survival of the Richest by Douglas Rushkoff. Mm-hmm. And I think I mentioned previously how I read his other book called like Team Human and how it was like a 200-page screed about like capitalism bad. And yes. I thought this one, because the premise was like about how like rich people and some of the strategies are trying to like insulate themselves from the worsening world they've constructed and are contributing to, and like, how they're building either ocean islands or bunkers or this or that. And that's maybe like 20 pages in the book, and then the rest of it again is just a screed about capitalism bad. And I was just like,
great.
There's just terrible like non sequiturs, and I'm like, you're not even talking about the same topic anymore. So I don't understand how this guy is popular. His writing sucks in my opinion. I don't think he has good ideas. Like everything he says, I'm like, I don't understand why this guy seems so popular. But anyway, so yeah, don't read it. Unless you want to just read a few hundred pages about capitalism bad. So there you go. That's a sum up.
Reading his books, Dan.
I am. I'm not going to read anymore. I gave this one a chance because I was like, okay, I kind of like the idea, the premise about like, I wanted to hear like these strategies about like, yeah, they're building, mountain houses, which they have with like private securities and this and that. And it was just like, no, it was like vague stuff. And like I said, like maybe 20 pages at most, like overall of the book. And I was like, this sucks. He's talking about stuff and like he's attended to and everything. And I'm like, dude, I don't care at the conference that you met these people. Like, quit name dropping. Get me some actual info. So anyway, yeah, don't recommend.
You read more of his books because I like it when you're mad. It's very funny.
But the last thing I'll talk about, which was amazing, and I had previously read some of it, and then my plan was to continue on after potentially watching season 2 on Amazon, but I got antsy, and I finished reading Invincible, the comic series, and I didn't remember where I was, so I just started again from the beginning. And it's like 144 issues, 124 issues, I think it's something like that. And it's made by Robert Kirkman, who was the guy who wrote The Walking Dead as well. And if you don't know the premise or haven't seen the Amazon show, which I highly recommend, it's about a world of superheroes, and we follow our main protagonist, Grayson? I can't remember. Invincible, anyway, about when he gets his superhero powers. And it's actually pretty cool because the story takes a huge twist about 8 issues in, like almost immediately after he gets his powers. And the reason that actually happened was because the Robert Kirkman, basically, like, the people were like, this is some pretty standard superhero stuff, like, you got to give us something more and kind of change it up or whatever. And he had planned for this twist, but to be like way later in the story. So instead, he moved it up like, 30 issues or whatever. And then the twist is incredible, and it just changes the entire trajectory of the comic. And like, it's really great how it initially starts on Earth in his city, and he's like, beating up some robbers and stuff like that. And then eventually it goes like cosmic in a great way, and like there's dimension hopping, and there's just all sorts of really interesting ideas. And again, it's tropes and things you've seen from other superhero stuff, but it's incorporated very well, written really well. Like, you care about the characters and you enjoy seeing their journey. Highly recommend. Yeah, there is a season 2 coming from Amazon, like the animated show. There was potentially a movie in production still with like Seth Rogen was producing, but I don't know if there's any further move on that. That was just pre-COVID, I think, and then everything kind of got halted by that. So unsure on that front. But I do recommend the Amazon show, and I do recommend Invincible. It was amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's all I'll bring up. What about yourself, Devin? You got some fun stuff to tell us about?
Yeah, I've got 3 movies and 2 books.
Excellent.
So, books, I guess. First, I read The Paris Apartment by some lady, and it took me like 3 months to read it because I was not engaged with it at all, but I wanted to finish it.
Yeah, I was about to say, clearly very engaging.
Yeah, and it was only like 300 pages. Like, I read books like that in a day, but I just didn't care.
Yeah.
And it felt pointless at the end.
Oh,
and
fun.
It was really popular, and it was on the bestseller list, and there'll probably be like 20 movies and a mini series made out of it, but it wasn't for me. I don't recommend it. And the other book is I'm rereading An Object of Beauty by Steve Martin, which is a book about the New York art scene in the mid-90s from the perspective of like a young woman she's trying to ascend vertically in the art world as not as like an artist, but as like a art collector / curator / person who sells art pieces.
So it's a fiction?
Yeah.
Story? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's really
Cool.
good.
Oh,
Steve
nice.
Martin is an excellent writer. All of everything I've read by him. So that I do recommend. And then for movies, I watched Crazy Rich Asians, which was really good. Michelle Yeoh is great in everything, and this is no exception. And then I watched Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever.
Oh, yeah, I haven't got to that yet.
Yeah, I watched it. It's a good movie. I just don't think I care about Marvel anymore.
Fair enough.
But I enjoyed it. I was like, Yeah, I know all the story beats because we've seen like 20 fucking movies about the same thing.
Yeah, that's why I found like the more like one-off-ish stories maybe more interesting. Like the sequels now, I'm like, eh. Like whereas I like really enjoyed Shang-Chi, and it was kind of like, yeah, like Doctor Strange was like good, but it was like, I already saw Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah, I didn't like the second Doctor Strange movie, but I think it's because I watched like everything everywhere all at once in the same week, and it's hard not to compare multiverse movies.
Yeah, we did an episode about both of them.
Yeah, and like everything everywhere is just such a better movie.
Well, and like just to circle back, sorry not to derail your Wakanda conversation, but that was one of the things I liked about Quantum Mania was that in the quantum realm they were just weird creatures and weird stuff in there, and I was like, yeah, this was what I wanted from the Multiverse of Madness, weird stuff.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, but Wakanda Forever was pretty good. I really liked the way the suit looks for Shuri, and it was cool seeing like competent athletic women fight people and win.
Yeah, the what is it, like the Tora Malaj or
Yeah. I don't remember any names of things ever, so
I heard Namor was pretty good in there too.
he's all right.
He's all right. All right.
I don't know. It's just like another Marvel character.
Yeah, that is, you are accurate there.
No, but you know what I mean? Like everybody's so powerful and everybody is so whatever broken because they have to be interesting characters, I guess. I just don't care anymore.
Well, and one thing that was interesting is, I don't know if you watched that Some More News is Hollywood Woke segment he did.
I did, and now I don't remember anything about it.
Well, and just to because they talk about basically, because spoilers, it's not, but especially because they were talking about how like in superhero movies, especially how all the villains' ideas are essentially the right idea, but it's always their methods. They're always like, oh, you've gone too far. Like Killmonger wants to help people and send no technology, but he's killing people. And, so they have to stop it to maintain the status quo. But it's like, the status quo was bad, though.
Yeah. Well, Namor just doesn't want people to doesn't want scientists to dig for vibranium. Is that what it is? Vibranium?
Oh, really?
What's the metal that's only in Wakanda called?
It's vibranium. Yeah, vibranium.
Namor.
Is Laszlo there?
Laszlo and Nandor they don't want people to dig for vibranium in the ocean.
Oh.
That's it. That's his whole thing. And then he's like, I'm going to kill everybody that tries. And then Wakanda's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, but I thought vibranium control was their whole thing anyway.
Yeah, but also the underwater city has vibranium.
Oh, okay.
For reasons. Who cares?
Sure. I mean, it's a fantasy metal, sure.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care anymore. All these overpowered people are fighting. Blah.
Well, and just to circle back to Invincible real quick, one of the things that I liked about it is that like there's a wide variety of superhero power sets and stuff like that, and then like the overpowered people are very overpowered, but for like reasons, and like there's good challenges that show up for them and everything. Like I said, it's very balanced and enjoyable. One of my favorite things is at the end. A little bit of spoilers here, but like it flashes forward through like his life as he's living it, and they're on like an alien world that they're like Klingon style, where they're like a warrior culture, and his daughter like does a fight against their like champion and just like wrecks house, and
nice.
And then the king or whatever leader guy like attacks Invincible, and like his weapon just shatters all over him, and he's like, wait, you're also strong as your champion? And he's like, actually, I'm stronger than her. And then they all just like, oh, okay, no, we surrender, kind of thing. So anyway, like I said, there's some cool stuff there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last movie on my list real quick is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which was the Nicolas Cage movie where he plays himself.
With Pedro Pascal.
With Pedro Pascal, yes. And you know what? This movie was so much better than the trailers made it look. It's bonkers, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard nothing but positive about it.
Pedro Pascal is such a sweet angel baby in it that you just want to hug him all day long. It's also got one of my favorite things where grown-ass men act like children. They like play pretend together. It's really cute. And then, not to spoil too much, but because it comes up pretty quick, Nicolas Cage has like these weird conversations with like a younger version of himself in his head. And it's the funniest shit. Because they've like digitally de-aged him, but they also gave him like a leather jacket and like the 90s like curtain bang haircut. And it's just
like the Ghost Rider look.
Yeah, the Ghost Rider, like, it's so good. And he's just like the most like the version of himself that he talks to, like the younger version, is like the most insane version of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend that. It was very funny.
Very cool.
Funny and weird. Things that I like.
Nice. And is that on like Prime or D Plus or?
Oh, no, it's on Crave.
Oh, cool.
So it's owned by Time Warner, HBO and TNT. Umbrella.
Yeah. Same as the show we are going to talk about.
Yes, let us talk about The Last of Us.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I very much enjoyed the heck out of this. As I've probably mentioned, I'm not usually a big fan of like zombie media. I really liked pretty much everything about this. So, a couple complaints here and there, but man, overall, great show. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like they really were like, they used, okay, so like, I'm going to use a cooking metaphor because I've been watching a lot of cooking shows. But like on the competition cooking shows, when there's like truffle oil and then people are like, oh shit, my dish is garbage. I'm just going to smother it in truffle oil. And then the judges are like, oh my God, I could only taste truffle oil. Why did you do this? Sometimes zombie shows are like that, where you're like, yeah, I know that the zombies are the thing, but you need to like sprinkle it with discretion, It needs to be like enhancing the other flavors. It can't be the only thing you taste.
Yeah.
And I thought that The Last of Us did an excellent job of using that truffle oil very sparingly.
Yeah, and because like I was saying, at least to me, the whole point of like zombie stuff is it's never about the zombies. It's about the people trying to survive and the situations they put themselves in and the decisions they make and all that kind of stuff and how society sucks more.
The innocent people they kill.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was interesting. 9 episodes on HBO, like we were saying. And one thing that was kind of funny is that they were planning on doing 10, but they decided to combine the first 2 episodes into one. And then I was trying to think about that. I was like, where would the cutoff point have been for that?
That makes total and complete sense to me, because the first episode was like an hour and a half.
Yeah, well, it's only like an hour 20. So
because actually thinking back at it, I'm like, did the first episode, all of that really happen in the first episode? Like,
yeah,
I guess they could have cut it off.
Like, my guess is, like
shortly after the 20-year jump, they could have cut it off somewhere there.
Oh, my guess was maybe they cut it off like cliffhanger style, like after the encounter with the soldier in the ditch, and then boom, credits.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense too.
Yeah, that was my other thinking, because it was like, then we get episode 1, the fall of society, episode 2, like you said, start 20 years later and continue. I mean, for me, all of it being the first episode was great.
Oh no, it was totally great. And the stuff that happened in 2003 was like that the scene. Sorry, compose myself. I know that it's like almost a shot for shot remake of the video game. When they pick up his daughter in the truck, and then they're driving, and then they end up downtown, and there's like zombies everywhere, and that was shot so well. Like it was just masterfully done.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite like zombie type openings where you get to see that chaos initially happening and stuff like that. It's the same like the Dawn of the Dead remake by Zack Snyder. That's also one of my favorite zombie openings because it's like so well paced and so well done. And this one was really good. And just to go forward as well, like we were talking about when we did the episode 3 episode, I haven't played the game, so I don't know what's in there and what's not, right?
Yeah. I haven't played it either, but I watched it with somebody who has played it.
Right.
And apparently the show ends exactly as the first video game ends.
Yeah, that's in my notes.
Yeah. Which I was screaming at the TV.
Yeah, one thing that was also interesting was couldn't really lock down what the budget was, but they clearly spent some money because apparently it's reported between 10 and 15 million per episode.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yes. Yeah, it's good, but it's all on, like you can tell, like there's some money behind it. It's always funny and stuff like this too, where it's like, it's not a period piece like a Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. So it's like the costuming is slightly easier because it's just contemporary clothing, but then it's also they needed like 30 of each outfit because you need like one where it gets more damaged, one for the stunt doubles, one with blood, one with this. And it's like, I need 30 jeans and shirt, please.
To bounce back to something that I was talking about.
Sorry, yes.
Before. Crazy Rich Asians, there's like a ring that's very important. It's a giant emerald ring.
Mm.
They had like found a bunch of them, and then like they were like, yeah, none of these look good. And then the one that they ended up using was actually Michelle Yeoh's, like from her personal collection. So they only had one.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I guess it stressed out the director a little bit.
Sure. Sure, there was.
It's like a giant ass emerald too, and it's real, and it's like the size of like a stamp almost.
Right.
Like a giant fucking emerald.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like we need a lot of insurance on this one.
Yeah. It's like the size of a Lego piece, like a 2x3 Lego piece.
Sweet.
But it's an emerald.
Yeah.
It's like a perfect emerald. Sorry, back to Last of Us. I just wanted to share that because I thought it was kind of interesting.
No, that is interesting. Yeah. Also, one of the things they did was they made the show take place in 2023 versus I think in the game it's like 2033.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was cool, and I really liked it in episode 1 and 2, which was something I was hoping that would continue maybe a little more. We get a little bit in episode 3, but it was the 2 scenes of the past. Like the first one in the 60s with the scientist talking about fungal infections, and then episode 2 when we get that intro with that woman who's the expert, and then she finds like one of the first infected, and then she just like bomb everything. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed those as well to give us again a little bit of a glimpse from the early times of the start of the apocalypse. But then the only, like I said, in episode 3 we get that flashback, but it's used as a transition before getting into Bill's story versus that trope or continuing that motif continuing, I guess. But what are you gonna do? This I thought was kind of neat because it was written by Neil Druckmann, who wrote the game, of course, and he co-wrote 2 episodes with Craig Mazin, who is the director on pretty much every episode. The writer on every episode except for the 2. He's also the guy who created Chernobyl recently, which was, of course, amazing. And I thought that was pretty cool that bring him in. I don't know if you're aware, if you look this up. This is what I found. It was in 2014, they were going to do a Last of Us movie. It was announced as a movie, but then it just kind of fell in development hell by like 2016, and then the rights lapsed in 2019.
Oh.
But 2018, Craig Mazin was approached by PlayStation Productions with a list of potential video games for television adaptation. And Last of Us wasn't on there because he was a big fan of the game. And he was like, well, that's the one I want to do in a sense. But it was still the rights belong to someone else.
Oh, interesting.
And then Mazin and Druckmann were kind of introduced to each other in 2019 through like a mutual friend. And then they started talking about it. And then basically like a week later, they pitched it to HBO that they were like, we want to do the show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then so, yeah, the show was a production between Sony Pictures, PlayStation Productions, which is this is their first show, and Naughty Dog, the video game company. And so it's pretty interesting because Druckmann also worked on the Uncharted movie, but he felt like that was, a different situation where it was like action set pieces are kind of what the Uncharted is about, whereas he's just like that, Last of Us is more about the story and the, characters of the world, right?
Yeah.
So, and like you said, the season covers all the way to the end of the game, and it's DLC called Left Behind.
Yeah, that's episode 7, right?
I don't know which episode relates to what. Sorry.
The episode where Ellie and her best friend / girlfriend are in the mall.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's all DLC.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great episode.
Great episode. Yeah. Totally.
Excuse me. But yeah, so they brought in the composer from the game as well, Gustavo, sorry, Santaolalla. Hard name for me to pronounce. I apologize.
I like your pronouncement.
Yeah.
Your pronunciation. Sorry. Pronouncement. What an idiot.
My pronouncement of his name. Yeah. And yeah, like I guess we should talk about the cast. As mentioned, Pedro Pascal plays Joel.
Yep. Bella Ramsey
playing Ellie Williams. And, they have great chemistry together, and I buy them both as those characters.
Absolutely. The episode, so we're jumping around a bit. The episode, the creepy episode with the creepy preacher guy.
Yes.
Was that episode 8, I guess?
Yes. What we are in need.
She was so good in that. That's some like capital A acting. It's like just so fucking good. I mean, the guy that played creepy preacher was also great because I really bought that he was a creepy preacher.
And yeah, this is again like we've talked about before. Just I hadn't played the game. I didn't know anything about the story. And the minute that they were kind of all introduced and then he was there talking, I was like, oh, it's a cannibalism situation. Like, just because I've consumed media, and I was like, I knew right away.
I did not know right away. It came as a surprise to me.
Oh no, I was keyed into it right away.
His like left-hand man there, that actor is the voice actor of Joel in the original game. Did you know that?
Oh really? I didn't know that. Very cool. And then
it's a cleaver to the neck.
Oh, I know, so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to jump again, the woman who plays Ellie's mom in the intro of episode 9.
Ellie?
What, sorry?
Is Ellie in the game?
Is Ellie in the game, which I didn't know. I thought it was Bella Ramsey's mom.
I know, they look so similar.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, they could be like sisters or, but
yeah.
no.
I thought they were related in some way until I looked it up and then, found out that she was the original voice actress as well. And I was like, wow, she really nailed that.
Also, the woman that played the Firefly lady, was her name Monica in the show?
Marlene. I have her here. Her name is Meryl.
She was the voice actor for the game.
Yes, she was Marlene in the game.
Same character, yeah.
So, I mean, that's cool that they brought in some of the original voice cast as well to play their characters in the show or play some version of a character in the show.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, and then Anna Trov played Tess.
She was quite good too. I was surprised, because I hadn't played the game. I was surprised when she died because I was like, oh, she's going to be such a cool character in this whole show.
I knew she was going down. Again, just tropes. I was like, she's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's like a lot of people that they got in to do like 1 or 2 episodes only. So I don't know if we want to talk about everything. Mm-hmm.
I watched a whole show just about, I think her name was Kathleen in the show, but the leader of the resistance that was the terrible person.
In Kansas, yeah.
Yeah, she was so good. I really like her as an actress. I've seen her in a lot of things, and I always think she's great, but I just really liked her in this part. I thought she always plays like a nice lady, so it was cool to see her get to be a bit of a bastard.
Nice. The only problem I had with that, and again, like we were saying, jumping around a bit, was I felt it took too long to explain why she wants Henry. Because the whole time we're seeing she's just going around being like, where's Henry? And it's like, who is Henry? What has he done? Like, what is happening that he deserves this animosity? Plus, your right-hand man is telling you that there's some zombie stuff going on. Like, maybe you got to deal with that. And she's just like, no, it's all about Henry. And it's like, that seems more of a vengeance quest. Like, you should do that on your own, not send your entire crew out for her.
Her right-hand man, Hot Grandpa, voiced Joel's brother in the game.
In the game, yeah. Jeffrey Pierce is his name.
Hot Santa.
Yeah, and her name is Melanie Linsky, sorry.
Yeah, I really liked her.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, but I don't care because I just thought she was so much fun in that role, being a bastard. She's good at it. When she shoots the doctor. Yeah. It's an excellent scene.
No, absolutely. Like I said, I was fine with the ways it was kind of going, but I was just like, we need to know why her motivation is so beyond. It was not until the next episode that we find out, and it's like, that's too long of a gap to find that out.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, even though I love her in that part, I did think that those episodes were some of the, like, not the second one, but the first one was a little bit of one of the weaker episodes in the show.
Like I said, I was pretty fine with what was going on, but just the search and like why it just was not, because it's like, okay, we can understand that they've taken over from Fedra, and it's like, what did Henry do? Did he lead like an anti-resistance against them? What's the deal? Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was kind of just my only, again, that's a structure thing, maybe because again in the game maybe it's revealed later because Joel finds it out and then we find out, but it's like, she should have had a line about something where talking with her right-hand man where he's like, hey, and she's like, look, I got to get revenge for my brother before, like, because she does again later, but it's like at least a line in there before, like, that we're like, oh, okay, something related to her brother. Okay, give us a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Like I said, it's a minor complaint, but I was just kind of the whole time, because she's just like, where is he? And I'm like, who is he? What has he done? Why should I care?
Did you find that there was, like, okay, hang on. I found that there were so many scenes when I was watching it, the way that it was lit and shot felt like a video game, but in, like, a really good way.
Well, and that is interesting because, like I said, Druckmann himself did direct one of the episodes. Because Craig Mazin as well was a big fan of the video game, I could definitely see him having utilized perspectives and shots that were capable of being translated from video game to a TV show, because a lot of times they can't.
Yeah, I think
don't know.
Like the lighting, it like reminded me a lot of like playing like I don't know, like Silent Hill or something, like, or Resident Evil. Like they kind of had that vibe, which was fun. I liked it. Good vibe.
Yeah, it's what you want in a show like this.
It reminded me of playing Halo 2.
Yeah, he's credited with directing an episode, but then that's not listed in Wikipedia. Huh.
Well, that's what you get for trusting Wikipedia.
Well, I'm on IMDb as well, but it doesn't tell me which one he directed.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I think for me, the lighting and the composition of a lot of shots was really good. And I really enjoy that kind of stuff. Like, like you're saying in episode 1, I think it is, when they're going through the little shortcut to get to the Firefly hideout, and then they pass that dude with the Annihilation breakout, and I'm like, yeah, the way that was lit and everything, it's just like, great. Like, I like that. Give me more of that. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen some of the behind the scenes stuff. Again, really good job again with the budget. That like the VFX was mostly pretty seamless on some stuff where they're doing like, where you see the broken down city behind them, or they look down over the Capitol building there, and then they see a lot of the infected all on the ground and everything like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's looking good.
Yeah, I really like the way the zombies looked too. They just look cool, especially like the clickers when they've got like mushroom face. It was just really neat.
Yeah, and again, that was something that I liked as well, was the different look and the different spin on them. Apparently, according to in the video game, they spread more by like spores, but they changed that in the show because they were like, well, everyone wearing a gas mask isn't going to be good for a show. And then they kind of like, made it more like a mycelium network connection kind of thing, where they were like, yeah, they can sense stuff or communicate through the vines / the fungus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Cool. Yeah.
I
like that, like, ultimately the worst bad guys were people.
Yeah, and that's zombie media. That's supposed to be the point.
Like, Preacher Dude, one of the worst bad guys.
Yep.
Firefly, kind of a bad guy at the end.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah. Also, Joel himself, bad guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, that's the point, is that, like, it's hinted at all the time that it's like, they just did whatever it took to survive. Right?
Yeah, well, the friend that I was watching it with who's played the game was like, the part where in the game, which was also in the show, where the preacher's like, yeah, a crazy guy killed one of our men and he's traveling with a little girl. He was like, yeah, you realize at that point that you've just been murdering people for like several hours. Like, and you're like, oh my God, I am the monster. Like, he said when he played it, like, just, there was like a stone in the pit of his stomach from that one line, because he's like, oh my God, I am the crazy guy that's been killing people.
Yeah, that's always something that's difficult to translate or to reconcile in video games. And we've talked about this as well, where it's like, like an Uncharted or something like that, for example. It's like you go into an area, you murder hundreds of people, and you're breaking stuff. And then in a cutscene, it'll be like, oh, no, I don't want to shoot him, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, why? You just murdered everybody. And
that's why you always pick the evil route, Dan.
Right. Or like I was saying with Tomb Raider, when I played Shadow of the Tomb Raider as well, especially, like, her character changes over time. But in one of the points in that, you go into an area and then some like military guys run away. They don't know you're there, but they're all like running for something. And she's like, oh, what are they afraid of? And I'm like, they're afraid of you. Like, you've murdered hundreds of people at this point. It's like, if they should be afraid of anything, it's you, Lara Croft. But no, that's interesting. I loved that scene as well in the show, how it just kind of like, drops that bomb that it's like they did attack them, but maybe if they had talked, maybe they could have just, worked something out or something like that. But they just came out of nowhere. And then, like, Joel defends himself, kills one of them. And then she's just like, it's like, oh my God.
Yep.
And again, Bella Ramsey's acting in that episode, amazing.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Oh my gosh, when she's in the jail cell and he's like holding her hand and then she breaks his finger, I was like, oh, you're gonna get killed for that, but also I respect that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that whole thing was very interesting. I guess, again, just to get back to some of the behind the scenes, the production design, John Pino, art direction, Don McColney, who's the supervisor art director, and then Callum Webster was working with him as well. Set decoration, Paul Haley, because this was 99% shot all in like Alberta, pretty sure, or all of it. And
yeah, the big joke was you don't have to do anything to Alberta to make it look like a post-apocalyptic.
Especially in the winter. Yeah, costumes design, Cynthia Ann Summers, and then second unit director Christopher J. Byrne. And talk about some stunts real quick here. Guy Buse was a stunt coordinator. I looked up his IMDb. He's done some movies and other television stuff like that. And then Denton Edge was Pedro Pascal's stunt double, and Taryn Roberts was Bella Ramsey's stunt double.
Nice.
Yeah. And then costume department, Tyza Turning Chico was the costumer, which I assume also involves purchasing a lot of stuff. There was actually somebody who had a credit for like Purchaser Vancouver. I was like, nice.
Well, I wonder if I sold them anything.
Maybe not for this show.
Well, harnesses and stuff, or the holsters sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Like,
Yeah.
what's it called? The 100. The 100? The 100? What was it called? The 100?
Something like that, yeah.
They bought like 20 holsters from us.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good.
And then I guess a bit about the future as well was, like we talked about, this was the first game. You know, they want to do a sequel, and it was already announced right away that, like, in January, after 2 weeks, they were like, yep, renewed for second season. And then the second part they want to do is they want to kind of, or at least this is preliminary stuff, but they're thinking of breaking the second game into more seasons because they don't want the games to overtake, or the show to overtake the games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Apparently, that's this could be just all made up because it's although there was some sources. I was checking sources for like so many of these claims. I'm like, is this even real? And then it would link to like a Variety article or something. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and they got a writer's room already set up going and stuff like that. So I'm excited for the future on that. And
Me too.
Like we joked around, I definitely plan on playing the game.
Yeah, I think I'm going to play it soon.
I thought
there's a new remastered one.
Well, there's a version coming out on Steam, or it just is already out, and then like sales for it on the PS Store went up like 300% or something like that when the show ended.
Yeah, I believe that.
But yeah, anything else you want to mention or highlight before maybe we get to talking maybe some of the conclusion stuff? Or
it was just a really well-made show. It didn't feel like content. I know some people are upset because it felt like there was 2 filler episodes and a 9-episode show season, but me as a hater of filler episodes did not care, so no one else should.
Yeah, I'd seen that filler comment, or I'd heard of that as well, and I completely disagreed. I was like, there was no filler.
Yeah.
I asked someone, I was like, what do you mean by, like, what was filler about it? And they're like, well, I don't know. I was like, so backstory about our characters, that's filler? No.
Also, like, I think people just don't understand how bad filler episodes used to be, because, like, trust me, I've seen all of Xena.
But yeah, like we were talking about previously, where, I've never felt anything was filler to me anyway.
The worst is when they used to like use unused pilots and then shoehorn it in. Like they did that a lot with like sci-fi and fantasy shows back.
Yeah, because a lot of times the pilot was never shown to the public, so they'd make it like episode 6 or something.
Yeah, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, it's a psychic dream or something, right? Like.
Well, and even Game of Thrones, like if you watch the first episode, that is the pilot, and then it was shot like months before the regular shooting production started, so like everyone's hair is like totally different, and there's a lot of differences, which is funny to look back on.
I did just recently rewatch the first episode, and I totally see what you mean.
Yeah.
I just felt like something felt weird, but now that you say that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But sorry, I interrupted what you were saying there. Anything else?
What was I saying? I don't even remember.
You were just talking about the filler episodes and the structure of the show, I guess.
Oh yeah, I don't mind. I didn't think that they counted as filler episodes. I mean, I guess you could make the argument that episode 3 was like a filler episode, but I think it just enriched the world, so I don't really mind. Episode 7 was like actually direct, like backstory on one of the main characters, so I don't know. I think it's fine. I think I think people should go watch clip shows from the 90s and then revisit that statement.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what the worst filler episode was? It wasn't from Xena, it was from the Nanny. Because they were trying to do a spin-off about, like, the people that worked at the beauty salon that she went to in one episode. And it was just, like, the most convoluted, stupid, like, Fran is in it for like 2 minutes at the beginning when she's getting her hair done, and then the rest of it is like this character you've never met before, starting as like the hair wash girl at the salon and like sleeping in the back, and it's so dumb. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Nice.
So people need to, like, it would be like if Last of Us tried to do, I guess it would be like if they tried to do a spin-off with like Nick Offerman's character, but like the spin-off was before the zombie times, and it was when he was working at a Home Depot. So stupid.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it. I like the show. It's good.
Yeah, so no, like I said, we were hanging off on it, but so the end, the last episode. Ooh. Look for the light. This was interesting to me because, again, going into this, I texted you about this. I was like, there's two ways for me to see how this show kind of goes. One, Joel sacrifices himself to protect Ellie, and she finishes the journey on her own with the skills she learned from him. Or two, he's like, we're not doing this. And I figured, like, or I thought even he was like, he sort of either convinces her or, he just like, we're out on this whole situation. But I also was thinking within that, like I was saying, if he had to sacrifice himself, that, like you were saying, the villains in the piece are humanity. And by the end, she would be so jaded, and she's, you know, because she's younger, she's attacked and everything, where she's like, I'm not even going to help. Like, and she just kind of like goes somewhere, or maybe goes back to Wyoming, but like somewhere where no one knows that she has the potential cure. Mm-hmm. In her, I thought that was also a possibility. Again, having not played the game, because then in the future, in game part 2, maybe she does learn to be like, okay, maybe humans deserve a shot, and I should try to like help people again or something, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of what I was thinking was going to happen, because again, like, yeah, humans are the villains, and she's like, no, we suck. But that's not what happens. They're having a nice walk through the city. This was also my complaint here on this episode, is like I said, I really wish we had had another infected encounter. I looked it up. Apparently, according to the game, you make your way through like a tunnel with some clickers before they get to the city. And I was like, oh, that would have been cool to see something, another encounter. Again, maybe they both play it better now. They've got skills. They've been traveling together. Ellie, they don't attract them or whatever. But some other infected, because by this point, we haven't seen any since like episode 6, 5, right?
Yeah.
I think 5. So that was a disappointment there. I was kind of hoping for something. And even they just go through the city without even encountering anything. And I was like, I thought cities were supposed to be bad. But anyway.
They encounter giraffes?
They encounter the giraffes, but I mean, they don't encounter infected. Sorry.
So, just a side point about the game again that I've heard secondhand from my friend. In the game, you do, like, apparently, like, when you reach the giraffes, it's been, like, so stressful playing that it's, like, a really nice, calm moment, and the giraffes will stay there as long as you're there.
Nice.
So if you, like, need to take extra time before you, like, move on to the next thing, you can just hang out with the giraffes and, like, imagine that this is the happy ending.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, like I said, we get that incredible intro with Ellie's mom and how she's bitten while she's giving birth. And then Marlene comes in and she's like, hey, you got to kill me. I was bitten, but Ellie's okay.
Yeah, don't worry. I got bitten after I cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah. But she, grows up and gets put into Fedra there. And Joel and Ellie are walking through. There's, tons of character reveal here. It's revealed that he tried to commit suicide after Sarah was shot, failed. Mm-hmm. They're kind of talking a bit about, like, what are they going to do? And she reveals how she's like, I'll follow you anywhere kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Right. Yeah.
What a sweet moment that will never, ever be soured.
Not by a flashbang that just gets dropped on them. So yeah, they get flashbanged, captured by the Fireflies, cut to Joel waking up in a hospital room, talking to Marlene, and he's like, what's up? And this was, again, obviously Marlene doesn't know his backstory, but I was like, why are you not just instantly lying to him?
Yeah, just lie to him.
Just lie to him. Just say that, oh, we had to put Ellie under sedation because of the test we need to run, like a spinal tap, bone marrow, whatever, right? Like something that's, she's just got to be unconscious for.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, no, yeah, they think it's, the cordyceps. And this is where we even find out that he's like, cordyceps grow in the brain.
Brain, yeah.
and yeah, like it lets you put that together at the same time where he's like, you're like, oh, shit, right?
Like, oh, they're going to kill Ellie, yeah.
And she's like, hey, the deal was you got him here, you got her here, but, we can't have you interfering. Just take him out back to the highway, give him a pack, and if he tries to struggle, shoot him. He's walking like a broken man. Again, great acting here. Everyone knows it's coming.
Everybody knows it's rampage time.
Yeah, and then he goes on a rampage.
And honestly, what a beautiful way to shoot a rampage. Like, you felt like the numbness that he felt, where he was just like, I just gotta kill these people and get to her, and I don't care anymore. There's only one thing I care about, and I have
She's on that table.
And she's on that table.
Yeah.
Before her, there was only one thing I cared about, and I fucked that up, or whatever. He didn't fuck it, but it's just like so beautifully shot. The music, everything about it.
And it was uniquely shot. I have never, like you said, it was so, like, we got some third person style shots of like over the shoulder and shooting some people and this and that. And then, like you said, just like that numbness where it just is on his feet and he's just going through and you just see casings fall to the ground or people fall to the ground. And like you said, it's all just done to be like, he's a machine at this point.
Yeah, there's no glory in it. There's no exhilaration in it. There's nothing. But it's just like, this is a thing that I have to do now.
Yeah, and even you kind of got a glimpse of that in the episode 8 when he captures those dudes who are from the camp or from the Silver Springs or whatever, and he's just like torturing them to find out where she is, and he's just like, yeah, it's mechanical, or he's just like, and then the guy's like, no, he told you the truth, and he's like, yeah, I know. He's just like,
oh, that's so good.
Yeah, and it was just, for me, it was unexpected, because then I was just like, oh, wow, like, this is what's happening, right? Yeah, he gets all the way to the doctor, who's like, what? He's like, got the scalpel, I'm not going to let that, and he's just like, blammo, and it's just like, yeah, no, dude, he's just clearly murdered everybody. What are you doing?
He just murdered like 100 people, so like, you think your scalpel is going to stop him?
Yeah. And I thought the whole time what was interesting to me was also, I was like, oh, like, where's Marlene in this, right? Like, she's supposedly the Firefly commander. Like, where'd she go? Like, I thought maybe she was going to be just before the room where Ellie was getting surgery. And then, like, maybe they were going to have some kind of face off or whatever. But it's not until the parking garage where they have to face off. And she, Marlene, sorry?
Unceremoniously shoots her.
Yeah, because Marlene's kind of like, look, we'll still square this away, but we need her. Like, this is really important, this and that. And or she's like, we'll let you go, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, you'll still come for her.
You know what bothered me is that, like, not a single adult in the room was like, hey, let's talk to Ellie and see what she wants to do.
Yeah, that was, again, where, I was going back and forth about this, where I was like, if they had explained to Ellie, or, because, like Marlene says, she's like, Ellie would probably choose this. Like, she even is talking about that, about how, like, all the journey and everything they've done, it's like, she's like, it's got to mean something. We got to try to help people and this and that. And it's like, she probably would go for it. Maybe. Like, yeah,
like, why not just fucking talk to her about it, right? Like,
yeah.
It was really well shot, really well done, but it's, like, again, one of those things where I'm like, man, one or two conversations probably could have saved a lot of lives.
Or, again, because, like we were talking about earlier, it's like humans are the villains. Marlene's already committed to this villainous action where she's like, we have to sacrifice the child for the greater good, right? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few and such. Yeah. But like Joel says, he's like, I can make that decision.
Yep.
this was, again, one of my complaints about the final episode, is that it was short. It was only like 45 minutes long or 43 minutes long, in that.
An hour, yeah.
Yeah, like we could have got something more, because basically it cuts from that parking garage where he escapes, and then they're just like in an SUV driving away. And then Ellie wakes up. He tells her a story about how there was a raid attack, and also how they've tried to do the cure and it hasn't worked previously. Mm-hmm. And then they're just going to the camp in Wyoming. And at the end,
that fucking hike that they go on where he's just talking about his daughter. And I'm like, oh my God, he's lost his fucking mind. He's just replaced his daughter with another person. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in the situation where you're like the replacement boyfriend for somebody after they get broken up, like the rebound.
Sure. I don't think so.
But I've been in that position, and I'm like, oh, sure. That's so similar, and it's so weird, and he's gone crazy. It's like, oh my God, it was like heartbreaking, because because Pedro Pascal, there's some actors where you're like, oh yeah, that's just that character. But Pedro Pascal, if you've seen him in any interviews, he is so charismatic and lovely. And I'm just like, it's hard to separate him from Joel. So I see and I don't mean that in a way that, like, I don't think he did a good job. I think he's a great actor. Yeah. But I'm just like, no, Pedro.
Well, and it's also, it's an interesting contrast, because at the beginning of the episode, he's trying to kind of break Ellie out of either a shell or, like, because she just went through that traumatic event in the previous episode. So he's like chatting with her a lot and this and that kind of thing. And like you said, they kind of do connect a little bit after the giraffe, moment. And so this is like the next day, or not even, like, it's like 6 hours later, and his demeanor has changed even radically, because like you said, he's like, Ellie's my daughter now, right?
Yeah. As soon as he said, I've got you, baby girl, like, all bets were off, basically. Which was at the end of episode 8, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, no, exactly. And that's what I was saying, where I was like, clearly Marlene doesn't know his backstory, otherwise she would lie to this man.
Yeah. He thought that SpaghettiOs and Boggle could snap her out of her depression.
Hey, in the post-apocalypse.
Ooh, SpaghettiOs. Or no, ravioli. Chef Boyardee.
Chef Boyardee, yeah. And then, on the way to the hike, like you said, they're having, or it's mostly, Joel one-sided conversation. And then Ellie asks, she's like, was everything you said even, like, real? And he's like, yep.
She's just like, okay.
Okay. And show ends.
Credits. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Now he's yelling at the TV.
Well, and like I said, I was just kind of like, no, there's still so much more time. Like, please give me more.
More.
Yeah.
But apparently that is how the game ends. I don't know if you do this, but when the trailer for the second game came out, it's like Ellie's like practicing guitar in a room, and you just see like the back of Joel, and like they're like so cold and distant to each other, and I'm just like, oh no.
Well, and even Marlene, when they're confronting, she says, she's like, how much longer can you keep her alive? We live in a terrible world. Like, basically all predicting eventually the things that will happen.
Yeah.
But like you said, he was so beyond at that point that he was like, no, I'm protecting my baby girl here. It doesn't matter. The world will burn. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to cure people? I don't think so.
Not through this method, anyway. Powerful stuff. I really liked it. I was down.
Yeah, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend it. I made my dad watch it. He liked it too.
Nice.
Yeah, like, Dad, watch Last of Us. On the episode 8, after he watched it, he texted me and he's like, "Did you watch that episode?" Yes. He's like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, that was a real highlight. And I also really liked that episode because we had previously seen Ellie in some, extreme situations, but that was when she was like, this one full solo. And yeah, like you said, she like axes that dude in the neck, and then she's like going around. I was just like, nice. Although when she stabs guy in the lower kidney area, I was like, no, that's not where you stab somebody to stop him. But yeah, no, she's young.
I mean, if you're in a dire situation, you just stab someone wherever you can stab them.
Yeah, I guess she is shorter too.
Yeah.
But I was like, you want to try to get into the lungs because then they can't breathe. So.
Yeah. And if you can find a shitty knife and break it off inside of them, that's a great idea.
That works as well. Yeah. But no, like I said, yeah, Bella Ramsey, even better than when she was in Game of Thrones. Smaller part. Obviously, she's older, and I thought she was great.
Yeah, she was great in Game of Thrones, too.
Sure, but this is a bigger role.
A much bigger role. But, you know, if HBO wants to continuously cast her as a badass girl, I'm okay with that.
It was interesting as well, like I was saying earlier, when they were talking about trying to do a movie, they had some casting in mind, and Maisie Williams was one of the people that they were thinking about using for Ellie, but then she's aged out essentially by the time they were making the show.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know you don't really like watch interviews and stuff, but apparently people were like asking Bella Ramsey what she thought about like people not being down with the queer episodes.
Right.
And she's just like, I don't care what they think.
Yeah, I think I saw a quote from her was that it's like, that's on you and you're missing out if you stop watching.
Yeah. It's just like, so. Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to bring up or highlight that we didn't touch on?
No. It's just really good, and I think everyone should watch it because it's good media. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like content. It feels like a show.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, it never had that, like there were some cliffhanger episodes, but it never had that feeling like they're writing to make you want to binge it, or they're writing in a way to make you keep watching, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I felt like, yes, there's cliffhangers, but it was also like appropriate cliffhangers that it's like, there's going to be the next episode and the story will continue. One thing I did want to highlight as well was like you were talking about the video gamey feel of a section was at the Endure and Survive episode. I think it was episode 5 when they're escaping from Kansas, and when Joel gets up into the house with the sniper rifle.
Yeah, that felt 100% like a video game.
Yeah, basically, I was like, I could 100% see this sequence through the controller and being like, oh, she gotta protect Ellie.
I was like, I want to play this. This sounds fun.
If it's not, I'd be like, what did they do? Why'd they do that? But yeah, that felt very video game to me in a good way, again, where it was like, you understand the objective. He's up there, got the rifle, protect Ellie while she's running around through the infected. You know, I was like, I like it.
Yeah, no, when I said that there was parts that felt very video gamey, I didn't mean that as an insult. I only meant it as a compliment. Yeah. Yeah,
I wasn't taking it as an insult either. And also one thing I thought that was interesting, again, you know, going to tropes and stuff like that and unexpected, at the end of that episode when it's revealed that Sam, the kid, was bitten, I thought it was definitely going to be the opposite, where it was like the adult was bitten, but he could see that he bonded with Ellie, and it's like, oh, he'll be okay, and, you know, I'll go die or whatever. But it was like, no, it was the kid, and everything he did to help his baby brother nulled, and he couldn't handle it. And I was like, yeah, okay. That's the point. It all sucks.
Yep.
And I guess we didn't talk about it briefly, but the credit sequence, very cool, with the fungus growing, and then at the end, how it's like the face of a man, or a person, sorry, and then it grows into the two of them, the last of them.
It turns into a face of a person?
Yeah. You can see the nose and the mouth profile and a forehead.
Oh, I'm going to look at that again. I did see the silhouette of like man and girl.
Sure, yeah.
But not the... Oh, interesting. Now I'm going to have to go rewatch it.
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there was so much good about it to enjoy and to like. And as someone, again, not a big fan of zombie media, I enjoyed the heck out of this, and I would highly recommend.
I really feel like Game of Thrones, just speaking of intros, sorry to go off topic as we're wrapping up, but Game of Thrones intro really like set a precedent for that like kind of fantastical dramas.
Yeah.
Because like you see that style of intro with like well, Game of Thrones, obviously, House of the Dragon, Wheel of Time, Last of Us, even The Crown kind of has that feel. It's just interesting. It's funny how like little micro trends happen like that.
Yeah, I always like the intro to the Battlestar Galactica, the new one, or the newish one from like 2000 whatever, because what it would do is had like its standard thing, and then there'd be, to a quick like drum beat section, there would be like a small montage of like 1 second snippets, or like, you know, one frame of the upcoming episode itself.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it was always interesting because you might see something and be like, oh, like what the heck's that about? And then eventually you'll get to that and see the context. Kind of like in a Mission Impossible movie, like all the more recent ones, like the credit sequence always has stuff that's coming up in the movie.
But I haven't seen any since Mission Impossible 2.
So there's some clever stuff out there, but like you said, yeah, like the Game of Thrones one, I think, because that one as well was really great because it would highlight areas so you'd know where you'd be in the episode, because it was like, this is what the episode's going to be about, and you're like, oh, okay, we're going to be in Dorne, and we're going to be over here, and like the wall, got it.
Well, in House of the Dragon, I don't know if you caught this, but it's a representation of their family tree.
Yes.
So it's all like, it goes to all the different sigils, and then like when children are born, there's more branches of the blood that branch off and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Which is cool, but obviously the best intro of all time is BoJack.
That's true. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you can't compete with BoJack.
Nice.
Yeah. BoJack forever, baby.
It's a great show. It was a great show.
Great show.
And I guess I didn't really highlight earlier the directors. There's several of them, actually, which is pretty interesting. Ali Abbasi did 2 episodes. Jeremy Webb did 2. Like I said, Druckmann credited on one of them. Peter Hoare, Lisa Johnson, Craig Mazin himself, and Jasmila Zabanik. Zbanic. Maybe it's a silent letter in there.
I don't know.
But yeah, they were all credited as more directors than I thought there was going to be. But like I said, the writing was all done by just 2 people. So
it still felt cohesive and flowed well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap it up because I want to eat dinner.
Great show. Recommend. Can't wait for the next season.
Go watch it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Pirate it. I don't care. No, wait, don't pirate it. Purchase it, because then they'll make more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please share it with all of your friends and family and enemies. Nemesis, the more sponsorships we'll get, which right now is 0. We've had a lot of growth in the past 5 years, from 0 to 0.
Ouch. Again, I was thinking more of the Patreon route, then we don't have to have sponsors.
No, I want sponsors. I want to stop the flow of the whole episode. Use code useless.
That's gonna be the best code for everything. Use code useless.
This product is just like our code. Useless.
Totally.
Why do people listen to us, Dan?
Because we're having a good time.
Having a good time. Okay, yeah. So do that. Like us on Instagram. You know what? Hey, guess what? Do you want us to make TikToks? If we get to 1,000 followers on Instagram, I'll make us a TikTok where I will post almost never. And Dan probably won't want to have his face on TikTok, so...
I was about to say, I guess I'll have to start doing TikToks.
Yeah, it'll just be shots of Dan, like, not his face, just chin down.
I'll do climbing videos.
No, we have to do dance videos and, like, lip sync to trending sounds. And also, you can email us, tomeofuselessness@gmail.com. And you can be like, Dear Devin and Dan, you've become unhinged. Love your fan. And then also you can go to our website, which is tomeofuselessness.com. You know what? If you recognize our voice on the street, you can just hand us money. We'll take it. And now I'm going to stop talking. Goodbye.
Stay safe, and thanks for listening.